Refinances and independent legal advice, ILA. Full disclosure, I am not a lawyer, an attorney, a notary, anything of any sorts of legal representation. So if you're looking for legal advice, please talk to the professionals, the lawyers, the attorneys, not me. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something that doesn't come up too often, but when it does, you should understand what it means. And I'm talking about ILA, independent legal advice. But before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified. And if you're thinking, why do I want to listen to this guy? Mel and I have now purchased over 240 different units in 5 different countries: Canada, US, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Dominican Republic. So we may know a few things about real estate. So what made me decide to talk to you about ILA and refinances? Well, I'm currently going through 2 refinances, and it got me thinking, how come this one, right, didn't have an ILA, and how come this one did have an ILA? So a little bit of story time. The first refinance that I just did a week or so ago, I did not need an ILA. I did a refinance. It was just under $1 million financing. Now I'm buying this in one of my entities, right? In Canada, I own my assets in corporations. In the States, I own them in LLCs. I'm also giving a personal guarantee, and I did not have to get an ILA done. Now in this scenario over here coming up this week, the lending is the same scenario, right? It's one of my entities, one of my corporations that is getting the refinance, getting the loan, and I'm going to be personally guaranteeing the debt. The only difference, which is substantial, is the new refinance amount is going to be over $1 million, okay? So now because this loan size has gone past a certain amount, I am now having to go get independent legal advice. And if you're thinking, well, Dave, what is the legal advice on? You're a real estate investor. You know the risks. You know the asset. It has nothing to do with the actual building itself. What I had to go get ILA for, independent legal advice, and I've said it multiple times, is the personal guarantee I'm giving. Because the personal guarantee that Mel and I are giving on this asset is past a certain threshold with the financial institution, they want to make sure that I am getting independent legal advice. And if you're thinking, well, why does it have to be independent? Now let's look at the scenario, okay? Lots of lawyers involved, if you want to think about this. There is a lawyer representing the financial institution and their interests. There's my lawyer representing my corporation, right? My entity and its interests. I also have now the new lawyer that I had to go see for my independent legal advice, explaining to me the personal guarantee and all that. And because I use creative financing and other people's money, which this one had seller financing on, there's also the seller's lawyer, the previous owner's lawyer, who I will be paying out. So there's 4 lawyers in this transaction for one single refinance. And I'm just showing you this, right? Typically people don't have the creative financing, so they wouldn't have that other lawyer involved. But I'm just giving you real life scenarios as to these 2 particular refinances. Funny enough, I have had this happen in my portfolio. Again, I told you that Mel and I have purchased over 240 units. So long story short, sometimes in real estate, when you're closing deals or you're doing certain transactions, financial institutions will require you to go get an ILA done. So if ever that does happen, ask them specifically why, what happened in this transaction that's different than the other ones and why do you need to do it. But just know that they are dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and making sure that they're covered. And now you'll be able to say, you understand ILA, independent legal advice. Little side note here, look at a contract that you signed recently, right? If you read the whole thing, you will have in there the independent legal advice. There's a clause typically somewhere in there that states that you have had the opportunity to and that you have sought independent legal advice before signing that contract, right? So this is in a lot of different things. The only difference here is they're making me go get ILA, not just suggesting it. Thank you so much for staying right to the end. If you like this type of video, make sure to check out this one right here. I'm Dave, and I'll see you in the next one.